this program called Pravasi Manch, which we started in 2009. This program we organize in almost all the languages that Academy has recognized, that is 24 languages. This program is exclusively for the NRIs, the Indian origin writers, those who are settled in foreign countries. Whenever they come to India, when we know that they are in India, then we request them to have some kind of ratings from their works, either poetry or prose, whatever. So under that series today, we are fortunate to have Mr. Goutam Datta, who lives in U.S.A. So he is here for just for 2 days in Delhi, so that we came to know from our Bengali people. So we have requested him. So thank you so much that you have accepted our invitation. And this program generally the invitee we request him to read for 30 to 40 minutes from his works, whether it's a poetry or prose writing. And thereafter, if time permits, 5 to 10 minutes, there is interaction between the audience and the author. And before I hand out the mic to today's our guest, Mr. Goutam Datta, I'll just briefly introduce him. Mr. Goutam Datta is a 90s mainstream Bengali poet who has been writing poetry for the past 30 years and is currently living in the U.S.A, as I already mentioned. At the beginning of 90s, he published his poems in Bengali magazine Goma. Then at the end of 90s, Sunil Gangopadhyay, who was the former president of Sahitya Akademi, invited him to join his famous poetry magazine Kritibas, new edition. I think Kritibas award also takes to young writers.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And Gautamji has continuously published his works in Kritibas and other Bengali magazines. He took initiative of bringing American poets to Calcutta Book Fair and started U.S. Calcutta Literary Exchange in New York. He was instrumental in bringing 14 important American poets to Kolkata in 2008 for a cultural exchange program. In 2005, Gautamji has collaborated with Sunil Gangopadhyay and published 100 Years of African American Poetry Anthology in Bengali translation, Ami Amar Nitul, for Sadhinata China. It means I do not need my freedom when I am dead. And Gautam writes mainly in Bengali language, however he writes and publishes in English as well. And he has published 4 poetry books and 1 play titled Pratham Alo. And Mr. Datta has been honored with Sudhinada Award, Jasimuddin Poetry Award, and Pasha Sanagar Award, and many other awards. With this short introduction, I once again welcome Goutam Datta. And also we are fortunate to have in our midst our former president, Professor Vishwanath Prasad Tiwari, who is a very eminent Hindu poet. He doesn't need any introduction. And also we have a galaxy of our writers from Delhi. Without taking much of your time now, I will hand over the mic to Goutam Datta. If you want to say a few words for 2-3 minutes, you can say, and thereafter you can read from your poetry for 20 to 25 minutes. Thereafter we can have some kind of interaction.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas Rao, for inviting me, and thank you, Sahitya Akademi. I thank you, poet eminent Mr. Tiwari, being here. That's my honor. I met him actually in 1980, 2005, right? Yeah, and there was a program in New York, and I was a Bengali convener, and Dr. Narayan Sahib was the chairman, president of Sahitya Akademi, and Sunil Gangopadhyay was vice president. And poet Mr. Tiwari was there, so I remember him sitting there after a long time. And it's an honor to read my works in Sahitya Akademi. You know, there is I think very few countries has this kind of place where they translate, they work, and they promote writers from everywhere. So I'm really honored, Dr. Rao, that you invited me. So because in Calcutta everyone speaks Bengali, so I read Bengali. So here I'm sure that most of you if I read Bengali, I will be bored. So I will try to read in English. I just translated some of I'm going to read mostly my new works. So I translated some of my poems. I translate myself. So, and I translated some poems this morning also. It actually advantageous knowing languages more. So it's really easy for me to. Sometimes I get confused that which one works in my head. So I have a poem about that too. So anyway, thank you. So should I start? Yes, thank you. So this is about my daughter, whom I adopted from Calcutta in 2002. Her name is Uma. She is right now 20 years of age, third year in a college. Uma means, that someone birthed from the earth, and also Durga's son. So Bengali, Uma. Ke kokhon jalalo prodip, ke bhashalo nodir akule, eka bhashe joler dolay, দেখি আসে আলোর সলতেটি দুলতে দুলতে এইদিকে আমি একা বিষাদ সন্ধ্যায় ঠান্ডা জলে গোড়ালি ডুবিয়ে ক্লান্ত সূর্য নদীর ওপারে ভেসে ভেসে হঠাৎ সে আসে তাকে তুলি বুকে চেপে ধরে অন্ধকার আঁকা বাঁকা গলি এই সব মারিয়ে দৌড়ই হাতের তালুর মধ্যে ছোট্ট প্রাণ নড়াচড়া করে দেখো আমাদের ঘর আজ তার আলোয় মায়াবী. So the English version is Uma. Who lights this candle? Who throws her in the roaring river? She floats along from wave to wave. I only see tip of that flame coming towards me. On this gloomy evening, I wet both feet under cold water. The tired sun dips behind the river bank. Here she comes floating, wave to wave. I pick her up. I run through the dark winding roads. Her little life keeps throbbing inside my palms. Look, today our home is filled with her magical light. Like Dr. Sinapadan ji हमको बोला जे read two Bengali poems. So this is I translate. This is actually new, not it's a prose poem, but this is I wrote during Durga Puja, and it relates to both countries. That's the diaspora thing. It's a little bit big, long, but actually, a lot in Bengali they have a tradition also people recite our poems, right? So I was before not really for that, but nowadays I see that when people read your poems, they reach so many people. This was like a viral poem, like reached over, I guess, 1 million people in both countries. হারিয়ে গেছে 36টা পুজো আর একটা 10 টাকার নতুন জামা প্যান্টের আনন্দ ফেসবুকে দৌলতে কত অপরিচিতের সঙ্গে আলাপ হয় কত হারিয়ে যাওয়া আত্মীয় স্বজনকে আবার নতুন ভাবে খুঁজে পাই আবার এই পুজোর সময় আনন্দ ভরা কলকাতার ছবি মাখা বুক ফেসবুক ফিরিয়ে নিয়ে আসে শৈশবের কত স্মৃতি 36 বছর কেমন করে চলে গেছে 36টা পুজো দেখা হয়নি ছবি ভেসে আসে ঘটি বাড়ির ঘরজোড়া খাট আর খাটের তলা ঠিক পুজোর আগে শেষ দিয়ে পরিষ্কার করতো সেই খাটের তলা আমি শ্বাস বন্ধ করে দেখতাম সেই লুকোনো দৈত্য পেতনি কত সব অজানা ভয়ের দেশ বাবা সমস্ত পৈতৃক ব্যবসা করিয়ে মানিকতলা এক মারোয়াড়ি লোহার ব্যবসায় পাওনাদারের কাজ করতেন মানে 100 বাবার ধারণা ছিল ওই টাকাতেই সংসার চলছে মায়ের আঁচল ধরে চলতাম হাওড়া ময়দানে আঁচলের তলায় লুকোনো থাকতো কাঁসার থালা আমার জগদ্ধাত্রী মা আমাকে আগলে রাখতেন 10 হাতে রূপকথার গল্পের মতো মা সিঁড়ির তলার সিন্দুক থেকে কাঁসার থালায় ভেসে আমাকে নিয়ে চলে যেতেন দোকানে যেখানে কাঁসা কেমন করে বদলে যেত কিছু দুর্বল টাকার কাগজে মায়ের মুখটা যেন ষষ্ঠীর দুর্গার মতো জল জল করে উঠত ফেরার সময় ফুটপাতে বসা ফলের দোকান থেকে কিনতেন বেদানা আপেল কলা 2 জামাইয়ের জন্য ধুতি বা পাঞ্জাবি বাবাও চতুর্থীর বেশ রাতে ফিরতেন মালিকেরা বসিয়ে রাখতেন পুজোর 100 টাকা বকশিস দেওয়ার জন্য সেদিন বাবার মুখও মায়ের মতন রাতের অন্ধকার ছাপিয়ে জ্বলে উঠত পঞ্চমীর দিন বাবা আমাকে আর ছোটদিকে নিয়ে যেতেন হাতিবাগান বাবাকে কোনোদিন জিজ্ঞাসা করা হয়ে ওঠেনি হাতিবাগান হাওড়া থেকে কেন? হয়তো আমার মামার বাড়ি দর্জিপাড়া ছিল বলে। বাবা তাঁর এক বড় বড় হাতে আমাকে আর এক সর্দিকে নিয়ে দোকানে দোকানে ঘুরতেন, দরদাম করতেন। বাবাকে যদি দোকানের জামাটার 10 টাকা দাম বলতো, বাবা বলতেন 3 বা 4, চিৎকার করতেন, চোর চোর, একেবারে গলা কেটে নেবে। মাঝে মাঝে দোকানিরাও রেগে গালিগালাজ করত, বাবাও তাদের গলা ছাপিয়ে খিস্তি করতেন। এসবের মধ্যে সর্দি, ভয়ে, লজ্জায় কথা লুকোবে ভেবে পেত না। শেষমেশ পড়ন্ত বেলায় সর্দির একটা লাল ফ্রক, শেষ দিদার মায়ের শাড়ি, আমার একটা জামা প্যান্ট, বড় ভাগ্নির ফ্রক ঠিক কেনা হতো। নিজের জন্য কিনতেন না কিছুই। সারা রাত ঠিক মতো ঘুম হতো না। ছটফট করতাম সদ্য কেনা প্যান্ট জামা পরে পুজোর মাঠে যাওয়ার জন্য। সেই একটা 10-12 টাকার জামা প্যান্ট যা আনন্দ দিত, এখন সেই আনন্দগুলো কোথায় যেন হারিয়ে গেছে। মেয়েকে পুজো বলে নিয়ে গেলাম মার্কেটে, বললাম পুজোতে কি চাই? মেয়ে উত্তরই খুঁজে পেল না। ওর যে প্রায় সবই আছে। মেয়ে বললো বরং মাকে কিনে দাও, সে জানে মার কি পছন্দ। কিনে নিলাম। মেয়ে বললো লুকিয়ে রাখতে। আমি হেসে বললাম এটা ক্রিসমাস নয়, লুকোবার দরকার নেই, হাতে হাতে দিতে হয়। বাড়ি ফিরে স্ত্রীর হাতে দিলাম পুজোর উপহার। খাটের পাশে জমা অগন্তি বক্সের মধ্যে জমা হলো আর একটা উপহার। বাবাও চলে গেছেন আজ 10 বছর আগে। মাও সব স্মৃতির পাহাড় রেখে বিদায় নিলেন গত বছর। এর মধ্যে হারিয়ে গেছে 36টা পুজো আর একটা 10 টাকার নতুন জামা প্যান্টের আনন্দ। I'm sure that most of you didn't understand. So I just tried to translate because translation needs a work, but I'm fluent in both languages. So I wrote this, I translated this morning. It's kind of long form. I lost 36 pujas and pleasure of one 10 rupees pant shirt. Due to Facebook, I come to know so many previously unknown people. At the same time, discover so many lost relatives. During Durga Puja, the festive Kolkata brings back so many childhood memories. 36 years have been lost, 36 pujas have not seen. I watch like a movie, twin bed in a ghoti bari. Ghoti bari and Bangal bari is different. Ghoti bari, old ghoti baris, all our houses, big bed. When I was childhood, I used to dream that underneath my sister used to clean before the puja, that there are so many unknown things hidden. So that's the allegorical. I watched like a movie, twin bed in a ghoti bari and underneath a fairy land. Breathless little me watching those witches, ghosts, scary place under the twin bed while my senior sister cleaned under the bed. After losing family business, my father used to work for a Marwari iron merchant in Manikala. Salary was 100 rupees. My dad used to think that 100 rupees was enough for the sunshine. Holding Ma's sari anchol, we went to Howrah market while Ma used to hide bronze plates under her anchol. My Jagadhatri Ma used to cover me with her 10 hands. Like a fairy tale, Ma used to carry some bronze plates from house. We floated on them to Howrah Bazaar, where those bronze converted into some weak rupees paper. My mother's face was like a Durga, lit up. She bought apple, banana from fruit market, dhoti for 2 son-in-laws. My dad also returned late on Chaturthi night. Iron merchant used to keep him waiting till late night for 100 rupees for puja bakshish. However, on that night, both of their faces used to lit, breaking the darkness of the night. Baba took Chordi and me to Hatibagan on a Panchami. His huge palms folded Chordi and me while searching stores after stores for cheap deals. If a shopkeeper used to ask 10 rupees for a dress, he would reply back 3 or 4. Baba screamed, thief, thief, sala thieves. Shopkeeper returned the favor with their own curses. My shorty couldn't hide her face anywhere in midst of this cursed warfare. However, at the end of the evening, somehow he managed to buy a red dress for Chordi, a sari for Ma, a dress for my oldest niece, and a pant shirt for me. He did not buy anything for himself. I could not sleep all night, waited when I could go to the puja pandal wearing those new clothes. That 10 rupees pant shirt used to bring so much joys, and now they're all lost somehow. I took my daughter to local market to buy her puja gift, asked her, what did she want? She couldn't think one. She had everything. She asked me to buy a gift for Ma, her mother. Gift to Ma. She knows what her mom wants. I buy. She says, hide it. I smile. This is not a Christmas. This is for Pujo. We don't hide our gift. We give hand to hand. I give the gift to my wife. The gift joins under gifts and gifts next to our bed piles up. In the meantime, Baba passed away 10 years ago. My ma also left us last year, keeping all our memories, and I lost 36 pujos and the pleasure of 10 rupees pant and shirt. This is a very recent poem, a little bit different kind of poem. You know that all of us know Salman Rushdie is being attacked. And I was surprised that all my poet friends in Calcutta was so completely silent. Didn't write a single line. Where all over the world, in New York, in Dallas, all the writers and poets, they're reading his works to celebrate his work as a protest. So I wrote this poem, so I'm going to read only the English version. Remember his name, Hadi Mata. Hadi Mata is Lebanese American. Hadi Mata's mother is like mother. Hadi Mata's father is like my father, goes to bazaar to buy little light. Hadi Mata is only a 24 years old, pulsating heart, carries wrong religion, wrong Ayatollah's fire, burns and floats in the air while burning other people's house. Silvana, Hadi Mata's ma, also burns in the fire of his son's hatred. Hadi Mata's dad's ashes fly America to Europe, to Africa, to Asia, bringing sorrow thunder from sky. 1936, 19 August, Hadi Mata, spitting on Lorca's face, says, go to hell, you Satan, homosexual. Thousands of Hadi Mata emerges from Hitler's heart, take showers with soap made from skins of millions Jews and Gypsies. Goutam Datta cries sand in Kabul desert. Hadi Mata is not only a name, Hadi Mata is twin of hatred, a violent insight hidden in darkness, whose face is clean and pure like a child. However, his two horns and bloody nails draws blood from innocence in name of Allah. I hope you don't mind. I felt like why people should be silent in any kind of religion, violence, killing each other. That's the poets do. I don't know if you look at the history. Why poets and playwrights always get killed, not the novelist, except probably the Salman Rushdie. And he's I think right or left hand is paralyzed now. And one eye is this is a poem. There was a famous Bengali poet named Subhash Mukhopadhyay. And this one I really had a pleasure of writing. He was actually wrote one of the famous poem name is Walk Little Faster Brother. Ekটু পা চালিয়ে ভাই. So he, at the end of his life, he kind of disillusioned with the philosophy of the Communist Party of India. But that time the Communist Party was ruling West Bengal, so they put him kind of home prison, got his many things from the. So this is about him. Walk little faster, brother. They banned Salon, local grocery for Subhasda. He made a big mistake telling Lenin, walk little faster, brother. Lenin didn't do anything himself. His surrogates imprisoned Subhasda in his own house. Lenin was very busy whole night, asking for love from those beautiful Belarusian girls. Vodka and girls, girls and vodka. And his body was covered with bulletproof vest. His legs were swollen from excess diabetic sugar. There were no sugar, bread, or potatoes in Moscow. All Russian dreams ran stepping on red flags. Lenin was hiding inside a tank. Tank was his legs. Bullet was his spits. How was he going to walk? However, he tried to take his last steps, fell into his own vomit. Hungry Russians ran, carrying his body from Berlin to Tallinn shipyard. His body was torn apart with hammer and blade, while Lenin's head was drowning in the Black Sea. He might have thought of this poor, insignificant Bengali poet who warned a long time ago, walk little faster, brother, walk little faster. This was a road I went to in Mexico. There are Mayan field, and people tell stories like there is a whale, and Mayans used to kill their religious thing, that little child, and cut their head and put into this whale, or they used to play kind of football with the heads. So these are all the stories. I don't know truth. No one has really truth. So I thought that while all the visitors like me going there enjoying the scenes, it's kind of surreal picture. The serpent crawls down. The serpent crawls down 90 pyramid steps as the equinox light peers through the temple window to kiss its head. East, south, north darken as its vertebra creep on hot west tones, while 1,000 cheering voices resonate Mayan wall at Chichen Itza. What are they celebrating? Is it the lost, or the tourism through the dugouts and the remnants? Where have the Mayans gone? Who could tell as we walk past the stone pyramid, hollow ball field, hanging hoops, listening to colorful stories from guides to the next resort, tequila bars, swimming pools. We break bread, bathe in the bright Mayan sun of Cancun, talk, complain about foods, put on suntan lotion. We forget, we sleep, dream the ruins, and the serpent crawls across the scorching field. With my, I write a lot of poems about my own life and my family. So this book was named Gyojudda Doleli. So that means that what happens in the family. So this is about my mother and present and past, before he died. My sister is here, my brother was here. My mother. My 84 years old mother looks through the window outside. Summer ends with fallen leaves, weeds, muddy water puddles with playful frogs. Mother stares at them, or maybe she's not really watching.
My mother does not read any more books. My mother does not watch movies anymore. I follow mother's stereo vision from the other side of the puddle and walking, enter between her eyes. There is a Pacific Ocean, tranquil, waveless, no fish, no seagulls, only deep, salty water, surrounded by ruddy sunlight, where my father is at work in an endless sleep, with a fresh 64 years garland around his neck. Mother passed. Mother runs through the thunderstorms and comes home with a chest full of pneumonia. What kind of home is it? 4 damp walls, a hot-tempered husband, an oily surrey of sewn patches. Who cares for a doctor, medicine? Her fever comes and goes. Still medicine rots on the rack. Nothing takes care of craving hunger of 4 little souls. Ma runs to the pawn shop wearing a borrowed saree. In her one hand, she hides the bronze dinner plates to hawk. With her other 3 hands, he protects me, my mother of love. This one I don't have really translation. This is one of my favorite poem, actually gives the story of the boat. Every day is the 21st February, which is our immense language day. উড়তে উড়তে আমার ডানায় ব্যথা লাগছে 36 বছর ধরে উড়ছি 5 সাগর পেরিয়ে শীতের কলকাতা আহা এই পরিযায়ী পাখি আসে গ্রীষ্মের নিউ ইয়র্ক তোফা তবুও পাখি সেই পরিযায়ী থাকে সুরভি তোমাকে কি করে বোঝায় আমার মাথার ভেতরে মেমেরা কথা বলে সাহেবের রক্ত হাসি ঝাঁটায় ওই উইচ তাদের চুলের মুঠি ধরে নামায় চলে যায় পেতনি দানোর দেশে মোষের ঘাটালে দুধওয়ালির পাশে কবিতার ছন্দে তার দুমুঠোয় দোয়ে মোষের বাঁট দুলকি চালের সঙ্গে দোলে ঘামে ভেজা দুটো স্তন সে এক অপরূপ স্বর্গীয় দৃশ্য ওহে নবীন ছোকরা এসব তুমি উপভোগ করেছো কখনো এখন ঘাটাল উড়িয়ে উঠেছে অট্টালিকা অভিষিক্তা সাউথ সিটি হাইল্যান্ড পার্ক প্রমোটারি বস তার হাতে শহরের হৃদয় সিন্ধুক চাবি তোমার শাড়ির মেখলায় দেখি নীল সাদা আলোর বন্যা এ অন্য তুমি ভিন্ন তুমি তবু তো তুমিই তুমি তোমাকে ভালোবেসে উড়ে আসা এখন তুমি কি শহর কলকাতা তুমি শহর নিউ ইয়র্ক তবু আমাকে কেন পরিযায়ী বলে ব্যঙ্গ বিদ্রুপ আনো আমি তো তবু প্রতিদিন যুদ্ধ করে সাহেব দাঁড়িয়ে সুনীল আনি আমার তো প্রতিদিনই 21 ফেব্রুয়ারি this is the real most favorite point explaining that I'm living in this country in my head always 2 languages fight I don't know which one comes at first it's a natural phenomenon whether you like it or not sometimes English comes first sometimes Bengali so I translate sometimes in my head English to Bengali but whenever I used to come here and people say I'm not Pravasi or this or Porijayi poet is poet it doesn't matter whether you stay outside or not but but I have to fight a lot to write in Bengali because in my head I have to kick out the Sahib and to bring Sunil that's the last line আমি তো তবে প্রতিদিন যুদ্ধ করে সাহেব দাঁড়িয়ে I kick out the Sahib and bring Sunil every day of my life is 21st February make sense I'm very proud of this book it's like our secretary said আমি আমার মৃত্যুর পর স্বাধীনতা চাই I worked because of my work over there and because of New York City I came to know most of the prominent American poets and there is a believe it or not if you have anybody chance have a opportunity go to Dodge Festival in New Jersey and there were about 25,000 poetry lovers gathered. About, I would say, 60% is female, mostly school teachers. And in the little camp, the poets discussed their work in deep poetry. And I was part of that Dodge Poetry Festival, so I was telling before that there was always conflict between Bangladesh, Bengali and West Bengal, Bengali. But again, I was working with the Jim Hava, the president of the Dodge Poetry Festival. So I asked him that if he can invite Bengali poet, because all like it. Bengali language means poetry. Tagore is in our heart. I said that, so he said, okay. So I arranged a poetry reading, and Sunil used to stay in my house every year for 25 years. And so I arranged, and Taslima was my close friend too. And so I invited and both of them, and unfortunately, what he said, they decide as a group that the translation is so important that Sunil's translation does not justify the way I'm presenting him. He said that 2 books I gave them, Sunil's poems are very, if you look at the superficially, it's very simple. But if you do not get into the language, bring out the inside, then poetry becomes very simple poem. So they only get the simplicity of the poem, they don't get the inside of the poem. So fortunately, unfortunately, so they didn't select Sunil, they selected Taslima. But because of my friendship with poet, one of the famous poet, celebrated poet in the United States, his name is U.S.A. He's the first African American poet who got the Pulitzer Prize. And he is considered to be the best poet about the Vietnam era. And U.S.A. is like Sunil over there. Me and U.S.A. were very close friends. So he came to Calcutta Book Fair twice. So I worked with him because, believe it or not, in our scheme, Indian scheme, we had a lot of Sahib oil. So we considered Eliot is a god, but we never looked into the Langston Hughes. Right? So I thought that this is I'm living there, and African American poetry changed completely. And Yusuf is so much known poet. In New York, when he reads, about 25,000 auditorium gets filled up. You don't get a ticket. He's that status of poet. And no one knows his name in here. So he came in 2005, and I worked with Sunil to publish this 100 years of African American poetry anthology in Bengali. So I don't know, I can read one of my, but I don't know the original English. So if you are interested, please, this gives you a glimpse of African American and poetry. And there's so many good poems and poetry of, we couldn't take everyone, but I worked with them and selected the poems that kind of year over year, kind of representative of their poetry. Like Yusuf says, before African American poetry was very close to what is called Bangladeshi poem. Very angry things, oppression and things. Except Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes wrote a lot of different kind of poems. He is the one changed a lot of English language, American English language. But Yusuf says that when you cut a person's skin, black, white, brown, blood is red. So why you have to write what people tell me to write? Oh, African American poets are always angry, always this. No. I write poetry, what I feel. So Yusuf changed the poem. Yusuf changed the African American poetry from that. This is one of his most beautiful poems. The meaning of the poem was he was in Vietnam War. In Vietnam also very racist, and as Asian, we are racist. We don't like black people inside. So Vietnam, but the African American and the white people, they are fighting together. And they have the whorehouses there. So all the Sipais, they are going to the whorehouses. And the mama's son, or the main madam of the house, he wouldn't serve beer to the black people, but he would serve beer to the white people. And there is a sign in the door, whites are only allowed. But in the back door, when they are making love to a Vietnamese girl, the black and white are mixing there. Think about that concept. The name of the poem is Trudeau Street. Songit Sondeke Jana Vibhajon Kore, also the poetry in that. So there is no anger in that. Trudeau Street, name of that famous street in Vietnam. Songit Sondeke Jana Vibhajon Kore, আমি চোখ বন্ধ করে দেখি মানুষ ধুলোয় গন্ডি কাটে আমেরিকা কুয়াশা ধোয়ার পর্দা ছেড়ে এগোয় ও আমি যেন সেই ছোট্ট ছেলে আবার বগুলুসায় কেবল সাদাই সাইনবোর্ড ও পাকানো বরফ ঝোলে কিন্তু আজ রাতে আমি যাই যেখানে বার বনিতা ক্রান্তীয় পাখির মতো মিশে থাকে আবার যখন বিয়ারের জন্য ডাক দিই ওই মামা সান না শোনার ভান করে আর দু চোখে খোঁজে শুধু সাদা মুখ জাদু ভরা জুক বক্স ফাটে হ্যাঙ্ক উইলিয়ামসের উদ্যত্ত গলায় জুডাসের ভূমিকায় আমরা আজ খেলি কেবল মেশিন গানের আগুনি করেছে আমাদের এক রাস্তায় রাস্তায় মোড়ে কালো সৈনিকেরা খাড়া নিজ নিজ স্থানে কালোরা তফাৎ যাও সাইন আমাকে টেনে নেয় সেই খানাগুলির ভেতরে নরম আদর খুঁজি বনিতার কণ্ঠস্বরে আহত হয়েছে ওরা নিজেদেরই সৌন্দর্য ও যুদ্ধে ডাক্টু ও খেসানের ঝোপে আমরাই সমরে ওদের ভাইয়ের সঙ্গে আর আমাদের মধ্যে শুয়ে একটা দেশের থেকেও বড় সাদা আর কালো সিপাহীরা স্পর্শ করে একই মেয়েদের কয়েক মুহূর্ত পর পর ওরা চাখে একে অপরের শ্বাস শেদ না জেনেই এই ঘরগুলো এ ঘর ও ঘরে ঘুরে বানায় সুরঙ্গ মিশে যায় নিষিদ্ধ পাতালে I'm not trying to just people want to come from I should be able to find that in internet. Yusuf Komuniaka. Trudeau Street. I hope that this also gives an example of knowing both language, how translation can bring the life. Because his poetry is very lyrical. So my Bengali is very lyrical. Trudeau Street by U.S.A. Komuniaka. Music divides the evening. I close my eyes and can see men drawing lines in the dust. America pushes through the membrane of mist and smoke, and I am a small boy again in Bogolusa. White only sign and hands show snow, but tonight I walk into a place where bar girls fade like tropical birds. When I order a beer, the mama san behind the counter acts as if she cannot understand, while her eyes skirt each white face as Hank Williams calls from the psychedelic jukebox. We have played Judas, where only machine gun fire brings us together. Down the street, black GIs hold to their turf also. An off-limits sign pulls me deeper into Alice as I look for a softness behind those voices wounded by their beauty and war. Back to the bush at Dakru and Kesan, we fought the brothers of those women. Now we run to hold each other's arm. There is more than a nation inside us as black and white soldiers touch the same lovers minutes apart. Testing each other's breath without knowing. These rooms run into each other like tunnels leading to other underworlds. So one last one. Trying to see which one has the translation already. Couldn't find that one about the relationship between me and my wife. So I'll elaborate something different. See, in the old days, when people used to stay in the United States, some famous poets, Bengali poets, I read their poem, and they were lost completely because life was different. My life over there, same as my poet friend Shubodh's life here. Nowadays, we live almost in the same world. Everyone. I saw you playing with your phone, right? That's what everyone does. And life is very similar. So, this is about a poem that touches the both sides of the world. A little different day. Today the day opens the envelope of another morning. Outside the window lays the freshly bathed lawn. Still standing tall trees, just waking up from a long winter sleep, bursting with temporary tiny pink leaves like a bazaar of distant stars. Amidst all this, a kettle whistle sounds ish, ish, and reminds me a day starts, whether you want it or not. Now you will start repeating the day's course. At 7:40, train hums inside your head. Why has not the nanny shows up yet? Who is going to drop off Uma? Who will pick her up from preschool? I just say, till you burst into a scream which makes the clock run faster like a racehorse holding my hand and shoves me under a pouring, self-protecting icy water. This day starts like any other day. I wish not to leave the house. I wish to relax on the sunny porch. I used to play Candyland with my daughter. I pick her up, run room to room, holding her hands. I beg her not to grow up. Please, please don't grow up anymore. Every day I think how it would be if you missed work for a day. Dressed in a beautiful yellow sari, I put on a freshly ironed pajama Punjabi. Then Uma, you and I together would look for so many of our dearest lost things. Uma's left earring, your lost keys, our joyous moments. Laying them on the floor, we would sleep on them from the ceiling, an ivy of endless dreams swing in the lazy wind. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Goutam Datta. It's a wonderful evening with poetry started with Uma and also ended with Uma. Yeah, thank you so much. It's really very touching and moving poems that he has read. So now we will open the for some kind of question answer. If you have anything, just for 5 minutes. Otherwise, we can end up whatever. So I think everybody has enjoyed the poetry, doesn't want to raise any questions and
Please ask me anything, because I'm sure that many of you people are shy. Ask me anything.
they want to cherish your poetry, doesn't want to put any questions. You want to say something?
Yeah, some small comment.
Yeah, please. Rekha ji.
Myself, Dr. Rekha. Your poems were quite personal, but even then they have a vast horizon, big horizon, so we can enjoy. And that personal touch also sublimated somewhere. So like some poem I like.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
If I could just add to what she said, what I really liked was, what I really liked was the breadth. So we had personal poems, but you also had political poems. We don't see much of that these days. Modern poetry is looking inwards increasingly, but it is the job and duty of poets and artists to be political. Political is personal. So that breadth of range for me was something.
I think as a human being, thank you so much. As a human being, we have to be living in a society.
Yeah.
How will we be affected by things? One of the really I'm working on, believe it or not, I can say this thing. Sunil agreed. Sunil wrote one of his most famous poems about Lorca. But he didn't read Lorca. You know that? Because Lorca was never published. 1986, first time Lorca's publication was published in the United States. Because Lorca's sister was hiding his poems. And Lorca, if you read Lorca, you will never say he's a political poet. Because Lorca only wrote love poems. But we always think that he's like communist poems. He's not. He wrote only love poems. But we completely, because people only superficially know Lorca. But Lorca's volume right now published in 1984, so Sunil will come and read. And Sunil, look at Lorca, read. Do you see any kind of direct political poem? You don't see. He writes one of his most famous poem where he's thinking himself, because I love Lorca. And I translated many of his works. And Lorca was homosexual. Recently I wrote something very interesting, a kind of poetry mixed with prose called Gypsy Sangit. So imaginative Lorca and Dali is taking the historical aspect of their thing. And Dali wrote, Lorca fell in love with Dali. And Dali was kind of bisexual, or maybe not. So, and Dali's wife was a Russian older than him, used to hate Lorca. So Lorca, Shakti translated Lorca's, his famous poem. It's called Granada 1850. Lorca wrote very short poems, where he's thinking about a fountain, water fountain. What water fountain represents? A cemented, a concrete thing, water fountain, not in jungle, not in the forest, in midst of the city. Right? And what does people do? People sit around the water fountain, but they don't pay attention to the water fountain. Water fountain is always lonely. So Lorca is in that time thinking himself as a homosexual, surrounded by people, very lonely. So when Shaktida translated, Shaktida made, instead of water fountain, he made a jharna. Alright? Completely different thing. Jharna and water fountain is completely two different process. So Lorca's like this poem, and Lorca's writing is so complicated writing. It's unbelievable. That time no one is writing like that. আমার জানালা দিয়ে শুনি ফোয়ারার শব্দ, একটা আঙুললতা সূর্যরশ্মি ফলা দেখায় যেখানে আমার হৃদয় ভাদ্রের বাতাসে মেঘ বয়ে যায়, আমি স্বপ্ন না দেখার স্বপ্ন দেখি ফোয়ারার ভেতরে। That's it. একজন ফোয়ারা দেখছে, ফোয়ারাটা ভাবছে কি দেখছি, আমার যে স্বপ্ন আমি না দেখার, the dream I could dream, I'm dreaming that inside of a fountain. Such a short, powerful poem has so many things, but no direct poetical thing. But because he was killed now people say that he's not killed because of his a member of the Communist Party, but he was killed because of the Lorca had very high level friends, both sides. But he was mainly killed because of the homosexuality. Anyway, thank you.
Can end the session.
Thank you so much.
for coming. And thanks to all of you for joining this wonderful evening of poetry with Mr. Datta. I request all of you to join at a TV arranged outside. Thank you so much.